Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ruger, surprising you with new topics every single week and jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC. And we have another fantastic UFC event this upcoming weekend, guys. It is actually the final UFC event of 2024. I remember like it was yesterday. 2024 was just beginning, and now we're already coming to an end. I find it crazy that we always start the year not as good as we end the year. Like the year of UFC just gets progressively better as the year goes along. And for the second straight year, we're getting Colby Covington main eventing the final event of 2024 as he takes on Joaquin Buckley at UFC Tampa. So on today's episode, we will be dropping our predictions for all 13 matchups as of right now. Holy cow, so many fights going on in the UFC, and seeing who we think will win every single matchup. Also on today's episode, your NFL Week 15 quick picks. Your NFL Week 15 quick picks, predictions for all 16 games. That's right, we have a full schedule the rest of the way. I'm most excited for the Vikings and Bears game going on Monday night. As well, I have a book review for you guys, one of my favorite fantasy book series I've ever read called the Bloodsworn Trilogy. I will be giving you all a thorough review of it and encouraging you all to read it very much. Of course, thoughts on new things in pop culture, new UFC fights, a lot of fun stuff along the way on the Surprise Jab Podcast. Let's get right on into it with new UFC fights. And despite having such massive fights announced, we had the UFC 311 main events and co-main events announced, UFC 312 main events and co-main events announced, UFC London fights announced, we still have managed to get 4 big UFC fights announced for us over the past 2 days. So first off, going down at UFC 313, first official fight for UFC 313 going down March 8th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Women's strawweight action as the number 5 ranked Amanda Lemos takes on the number 7th ranked Yasmin Lucindo. Yasmin Lucindo is outstandingly 23 years old, ranked number 7. Insane. Amanda Lemos pushing 40 almost, but she's still kicking butt of her 14 wins, 13 finishes. She's an absolute killer. This one I'm excited for, and I'm a little torn because Amanda Lemos, all I've seen from her is how talented she is, how good she is, beating Mackenzie Dern, beating Marina Rodriguez, taking Zhang Weili the distance despite getting her ass kicked. I mean, it's been very impressive. As for Yasmin Lucindo, crazy win over Marina Rodriguez last time out. Used her grappling, looked good. This is an even better step up in competition for Yasmin. I don't know if I think she'll win this, but I'll still have to wait a bit before I give my final prediction. But this is a good fight, and it'll probably be on the prelims, but if they put it on the main card, I wouldn't be mad because I'm pretty sure this fight will deliver. Another fight for you. This one for the UFC London event going down in London, England, March 22nd. Light heavyweight action as the number 15th ranked Atomic Alonzo Menifield takes on the 11-0 undefeated Frenchman Omar Sy. Crazy for Omar, when you come out, submit Tukos, knock out Duwoon Jung, you're going to put people on notice, and now he's getting the 15th ranked Alonzo Menifield. Alonzo, hasn't had the best luck as of late. Of course, getting knocked out in 11 seconds by, Carlos Uleberg. So Alonzo will look to get back in the win column here. 15-5 record professionally, 8-5 record in the UFC. This guy holds a win over Dustin Jacoby, Paul Craig, Misha Serkinov. He's a dog, but Omar Sy has looked so impressive. 29 years old. He'll actually turn 30 next year. I'll be excited for this one. Good fight going down on that London card. Another one for you on that London card, Molly McCann. That is right, Patty Pimblett's sister from another mister, back in action. His blood sister, his best friend, will be taking on Estela Nunes. Estela Nunes 6-5, 0-4 in the UFC. Wow, Estela Nunes yet to win in the UFC, so they're setting Molly McCann up to get a win here. I'll tell you, Molly McCann is the definition of cannot hang with anyone in the top 15, can beat almost anyone outside the top 15 at women's strawweight. So this should be interesting. I know Molly McCann's been fluctuating between strawweight and flyweight. We'll see how the strawweight matchup goes for her. And the final event that is now final main event that is now official, UFC Vegas 102. Can't believe this is at the Apex. February 15th, the main event, the number 8th ranked Jared Cannonier, the Killer Gorilla, back in action as he takes on RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez. I'm pumped. I'm pumped. We're finally giving Gregory Rodriguez a shot at the rankings. 16-5 record, 7-2 in the UFC. Dude has some of the craziest knockouts you'll ever see. He has power in those fists. Biggest win of his career over Brad Tavares. Also wins over Christian Leroy Duncan, Jung Young Park. He's his game as it come, okay? Jared Cannonier, had a rough 2024. Okay, I can't lie. Jared Cannonier comes out here, gets finished by Nazim Imavov, gets absolutely ran through by Kyle Barallo. This is a great bounce-back fight for Jared, as Jared is past 40. Okay, Jared will be turning 41, actually, in the month that he is fighting. So this will be a big win for Jared if he can get it done. And, Jared holds wins over Sean Strickland, Anderson Silva, Marvin Vettori. He is as good as they come. But Gregory Rodriguez appears to be on the come-up. I'm excited for this matchup. I hope it is as good as advertised, and a good main event. Good main event. I always love to see good main events to start off the year, because I do know we have a women's strawweight matchup that's going to be the first event of the year. Not really want to trash on that, so we'll leave that there. But those are your new UFC fights. A lot of fun stuff coming, and I didn't even know UFC 3-on-3 was going to be in Las Vegas, so that's another reveal that I was unaware of. And I'll tell you some other things that I'm not aware of, and that is the top 10 new things in pop culture. It's new, it's fresh, and we're going to be looking at 10 new things right here, right now. Number 1, on the less fortunate side of things, Kraven the Hunter is reportedly the last movie in the Sonyverse, and it ends the franchise on a pathetic whimper. It is debuted with a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is lower than Madam Web. And I want you all to know Madam Web is regarded as one of the worst movies ever made. Okay, so Kraven the Hunter not really being hit with good ratings, which sucks, but it shouldn't surprise anyone. Okay, they've been going downhill since Morbius. So this should be no shocker. The one thing that does make me sad is I like Aaron Taylor Johnson as an actor, so this does kind of suck to see that, and he looks super badass in the role, but Kraven the Hunter, not a good film. Apparently, you should not be going to the theater to go and see this. Number 2, a live-action Tangled remake is in the works at Disney. The director of The Greatest Showman is in talks to direct it. Ooh, how about that? Very cool. Tangled, one of the better animated movies out there. I'll never forgive them for cutting off, Princess Rapunzel or whatever. I think it's Rapunzel's hair, and absolutely butchering her. Okay, like everyone was like, she looks so good with blonde hair. Now she has like short brown hair and looks like a dyke. And hey, if it was long brown hair, perfectly fine with that. But short hair, it just didn't do it for me. But Tangled remake should be pretty good, especially live action. They're doing live action everything nowadays. Number 3, Gerald Jerome, the voice of Miles Morales in the Spider-Verse, hasn't recorded his lines for the third and final movie Beyond the Spider-Verse. Wow. Absolutely wow. I can't believe with how successful the other 2 movies have been that they are not more adamant toward getting this third one done. And I know that the animation style is super hard to replicate, but come on. Let's really get this out there. The second one was better than the first in my opinion, and the first was a work of art. So this third one should be very, very good. Number 4, my bad. Austin Butler has been cast as Patrick Bateman in Luca Guadagnino's American Psycho movie. So they're remaking American Psycho, and now Austin Butler is going to be the serial killer. Fun stuff. Austin Butler getting big roles left, right, and center. He's doing pretty good. Number 5, first look at Twinless, starring Dylan O'Brien and James Sweeney. The film follows 2 men who form an unlikely bromance after meeting at a twin bereavement group. I don't know what the frick that means, but Dylan O'Brien, I've always been interested in him as an actor. And in the image they're showing, they have like little sim characters over their heads. So are they the Sims? I'm so confused. I will need to look up more about this to be more informed. Number 6, Jim Carrey says he's interested in returning as the Grinch in a sequel, but using motion capture instead of makeup. He says, and I quote, "I did that with a ton of makeup and could hardly breathe. It was an extremely excruciating process." I don't know if we really want to make another one. The first one is so perfect, so set in time, especially if we're not going to do the same style of filming it. I think I'll pass. On doing that. Number 7, first poster for The Ritual, starring Dan Stevens and Al Pacino. The horror film follows 2 conflicted priests who have to save a possessed woman through a difficult and dangerous series of exorcisms. I don't mess with any of these demonic movies. Okay, I like positive spirits. I like angels. I don't rock with demons and evil spirits, so I'll take a pass on seeing that. Number 8, the top 10 most anticipated movies of 2025, according to 9,000 people surveyed by Fandango, are number 10, 28 Years Later, which is, of course, the sequel to 28 Days Later, which starred Cillian Murphy. Number 9, Superman, the new remake under James Gunn. Number 8, The Accountant 2, that is right, none other than, oh my gosh, what is his name? Who plays the Accountant 2? Who dated Jennifer Lopez? Who was Batman? Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. Big actor. Holy cow, he's boys with Matt Damon. Oh my gosh, what is his name? This is how you all know that I filmed this live. No editing. Oh my gosh, what is his name? Ben Stiller? No, it's not Ben. Ben Affleck. That's what it is, right? Ben Affleck? Yeah, I think it is Ben Affleck plays the Accountant 2. I'm not so certain on that. I have no idea, actually, but they're making an Accountant 2. Wicked 2 at number 7. No interest in Wicked. Number 6, Avatar Fire and Ash. I'm actually very curious to see that. The Avatar movies, I know that everyone goes and sees them, but you can't help it. They're a movie spectacle. Number 5, Fantastic Four, which actually looks pretty good. I'm interested to see Pedro Pascal in the lead role. Number 4, Ballerina. No idea what that is. Number 2, Jurassic World Rebirth. Count me in. I love dinosaurs. Number 2, Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning. Never seen any of those movies. And number 1, Captain America Brave New World. No real interest in that movie. So a lot of anticipated movies coming out in the coming years. Exciting stuff. Actually, next year I should be saying. Number 9, Paul Mescal has been cast in the Beatles biopic, says Ridley Scott. Mescal had previously been rumored to play Paul McCartney. Of course, if no one knows, Paul Mescal is the lead role in Gladiator 2, which I still need to see. I still need to watch the first Gladiator. So, yeah. I'll get around to that. And number 1, here's something. A judge has blocked the Onion's bid to buy InfoWars. The judge said the Connecticut families deserved more money, adding that you got to scratch and claw and get everything you can for them. Look, I know Alex Jones can be a loony, a nut job at times, but I honestly don't think that he should be having to pay $1 billion for the stuff he said. I've heard people say worse things. The people that are coming after him have said worse things. I think it's pretty ridiculous, but hey, those are your top 10 new things in pop culture. A lot of weird, wacky stuff. I'll tell you something that's weird and wacky and super awesome, and that is a book series, okay? You know, the books that we've reviewed on here before, they've usually been self-help, motivational books, but this is a bedtime read. This is something I encourage you all to read right before bed. I was recommended this by a TikTok man, someone on TikTok, to read The Shadow of the Gods by John Quinn. This was like a year ago. And I was like, you know what? I just finished Game of Thrones. I didn't know what to read. I was super hesitant, When it comes to TV shows and books, I can't just jump from one to the other. I always need like a process period. This happened with Game of Thrones. This has happened when I watched The Sopranos, just to give book and TV show references. And I was kind of deciding what should I read, and I finally decided, you know what, I'll give this Shadow of the Gods book a try, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Shadow of the Gods take place in this, basically this made-up Viking world. There's like these gods, if you will, and they transform into animals, and they've been long dead. They've been long dead for a while, and it turns out that they're trying to be resurrected. And it follows 3 characters: Varg, who used to be a thrall, better known as a slave, and he joins this legendary fighting group called the Bloodsworn. And you also have Elvar, whose father is the chief of this giant village, but she's with this group called the Battlegrim, this mercenary group, trying to make a name for herself. And then you have Orca, who's kind of this mysterious character, and she's living with her husband and her son, just kind of off from everything, and then an event happens, and she is strung on a path of vengeance and justice. And all their stories are intertwined in this made-up world of Vigrio, or Vigrio? I don't really know how to pronounce it, but John Gwynne does an amazing job in this book, and I finish it, and lo and behold, it ends on a crazy cliffhanger. I want you to know that this is a bloody, gory book. All right, there are plot twists left, right, and center. I want to make these into a TV show or movie, okay? These are just absolutely phenomenal. I get to the end, I'm like, I can't believe this is how the book ends. Oh, wait, there's a second book called Fury of the Gods, which continues the story. The concept art on the front of the books just shows you the scale of these gods compared to the humans, and it is just absolutely fantastic. That book ends on an even bigger cliffhanger. It is absolutely insane. And then the third book, which I recently bought and read, Fury of the Gods, wraps up the trilogy, and it is officially titled the Bloodsworn Trilogy. And these books are absolutely phenomenal. They're easy to read too. the chapters aren't that long, and they're 300, 400-page books, but you have 90 chapters. So do the math yourself. You're only reading like 2 or 3 pages at a time to get through a chapter. It's outstanding. They have a 91% from Google users on the trilogy. It is phenomenal. It's labeled as a high fantasy fiction genre, and John Gwynne, an amazing author. And I think if I do choose to read another book, I'll go with one he has written, because it is just phenomenal. And when you get into the second books, they introduce 2 other characters called Guravar, I don't know how to pronounce it, and Bior. And they are sort of the villains. They're part of the villain side. So you're getting the villain's perspective and the hero's perspective. And it's written in Game of Thrones style. So if anyone's read Game of Thrones, every chapter, it's usually titled like Sansa or Jon or Daenerys or Jaime, and it takes the perspective of that character. That's how these books are done, which I think is a fantastic way of writing. It was really sad to finish. Okay, I can't lie, he wrapped it up really good, left room for more books to be written down the line, but I mean, just incredible, and I couldn't believe how detailed it is. Like, I felt I was in this world. I felt I was on the battlefields with these characters. There's so many fight scenes. It's pretty hard to keep track of all the characters at times, but, if you really are invested in the book, you can do a good job of doing it. But I really encourage you all to check it out. The concept art is absolutely phenomenal. Truly, I tell you, absolutely phenomenal. The earth-shattering book series in the Bloodsworn Trilogy. That's what it's titled. And like I said, this is a whole universe that someone came up with in their own head, and it works phenomenally. I wish people would do more like fan art of everything, because I kind of have a tough time picturing all the characters and stuff, so I really wish people would go out and do that. But hey, I'm not going to complain. It works super well, works super good, and I encourage you all to go check it out. On a book scale, we got ranking scales. This gets a 10 out of 10. This is a 10 out of 10 book series for me. I'm telling you, almost every chapter, you're either wanting to read more or you're going, okay, I'm fulfilled with this, and I can wait until tomorrow to read it. So the Bloodsworn Trilogy, 10 out of 10 book series. I encourage you all to give it a read, or if you want to listen on audiobook, you can listen. But with that, folks, I say we get into our NFL Week 15 quick picks, because we've been pretty good. On the year, 134-73. So we are plus math 61 on our predictions. Plus 61 on our predictions, which I'm pretty proud of. Okay, and I won last week of Pick'em, so I'm feeling pretty good. We only have 4 weeks of NFL football remaining before the playoffs, so these are some crucial matchups that are taking place. Kicking things off, little Thursday night football action for you. NFC West rivals, the Rams and the 49ers will be doing battle in San Francisco. The Rams are coming in as the favorites at it's the 49ers, minus 140, plus 120 for the Rams. Pretty close, though. I can't lie, that doesn't really tell you much. You can really tell the odds for something when it's in the plus, I'd say 250 range, plus 300. You're really getting a telltale on the difference between the matchups. But 49ers coming into this one game win streak, big win last week over the Bears was much needed. Their opponents, the Rams, 2-game win streak, a barn burner. Okay, Rams had a barn burner against the Bills, 44 points put up. Holy cow. Rams are 7-6, currently second in the NFC West. 49ers 6-7 are last, but they're all separated by 1 game. If the Rams win, they'll be actually tied with the Seahawks, depending on a Seattle loss. But with the 49ers win, they could jump all the way up to second in the NFC West. 4-3 at home for the 49ers. Rams are 3-3 on the road. This is about as close as it gets. In terms of fantasy football, I don't really have anyone in particular I'll be rooting for. I got Puka Nacua, got Cooper Kupp in some league I'm not in the playoffs. I have Debo in a league I'm not in the playoffs. So there's really only 2 leagues where I'm locked in the playoffs and I'm rooting for people. So in terms of fantasy football, no implications for me personally, but these 2 teams play each other close almost every time they play. And the last time they played, which was, it might have been week, I want to say 3. Rams won 27-24. Team stats for that game. More yards to the 49ers, but the Rams just held it all together. I don't know if we can get a tail of the tape or whatever. Oh, here we go. It all came down to a 2-second game-winning field goal from Joshua Carty. So Rams bested the 49ers in Los Angeles, but with a big win coming over the Bears, momentum swinging, and a better home record when they play at home, I'm going to go with the 49ers for this one. And I might start Brock Purdy in this game. I don't know. In my sleeper league, I have Mahomes, Purdy, and Bo Nix on my team. I know an incredible 3 QB rotation there, but I do expect this to be a close matchup. I'm going to go with the favorite, though, the 49ers. Getting into Sunday, Chiefs and Browns. I want you all to know right now the Chiefs are only minus 215. Okay, people are not as high on the Chiefs as they were a couple weeks ago. I mean, they just keep winning all these games by a close margin. Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. Tied with the Lions, but we all know they're the best team technically. 12-1, they're 7-0 at home. All of their losses, which is one, have came on the road. Browns, an atrocious 3-10 record, 2-game losing streak. Look, you couldn't pay me to pick against the Chiefs. I've picked them every single week, and it's just not going to stop now. Plus, I don't have anyone on the Browns, and I know Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku, Nick Chubb, James Winston, they've all been playing great football, but I'm just not banking on the Chiefs to lose, especially to the Browns. But then again, the Browns did upset the Steelers once this year, so anything can happen. After that, Bengals visit the Titans. Bengals coming off a nice win. Finally getting a win over the Cowboys. Bengals are now 5-8. They are an atrocious 1-5 at home, but luckily they're on the road here where they've gotten 4 of their 5 wins. Titans plus 190 are the underdog, and after last week, holy cow, this team is bad. This Titans team is super bad, and their offense isn't that hot, but their defense is just nothing special. And with as electric of an offense as you get with the Bengals, this is an easy prediction for me. Give me the Bengals all day, the minus 225 favorites. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, they have just been going ballistic. And Joe Burrow having another great year. Don't let that 5-8 record fool you. Don't let the plus 2 point differential fool you. 362 points put up. Absolutely fantastic. Titans, they've given up 342 points. One of the worst offenses. They've only put up 227 points. I actually think that is the worst that's the second worst in the AFC in terms of the whole league. Giants have the worst offense. So Titans aren't necessarily the worst team in the league, but they are nowhere near the best. They're far from the best. Bengals all day. Commanders and Saints is up next. Commanders minus 340 favorites as they take on the plus 270 underdog. Saints are at home for this game. It's been an interesting year for the Saints. The Saints team is 5-8 and yet are still in the running to win the division. It's not out of their hopes yet, but they just have no chemistry, I feel. Marquez Valdes-Scantling can go deep on a ball sometime. Kamara is always going to be reliable, but Taysom Hill's out. Olave's out. The options are limited. And with a mediocre defense, it's just not going to get you that far. This Commanders team, 8-5. Jane Daniels leads a striking offense with Brian Thomas Jr., Austin Eckler. You also have scary Terry McLaurin. It is a tough day when you have to play this Commanders team. 376 points put up, and they were on a bye last week. All right, this is the second best offense in the NFC. Give me the Commanders all day. I don't really have anything rested in the Saints either. As for the Commanders, it's just fun to root for this team, all right? And Dan Quinn might win Coach of the Year, but, there's just other things going on in the NFL where I could think a different coach might win it. But, hey, if the Commanders could pull off a miracle and win the NFC East, actually, I just realized that they are not going to win the division. There's just no way. So, but Commanders over the Saints, easy pick for me. After that, Ravens and Giants, and guys, I want you to know this is going to be some of the biggest odds you'll ever see in a football game. Minus 1,600 favorite Ravens. Visit the plus 800 Giants. I have the Ravens defense this week in my semifinal matchup in my 16-man league. I have Zay Flowers as well. This Giants team is terrible. 2-11. I think they are the worst teams in the NFL. They're 0-7 at home. They have a minus 99 point differential. They've only put up 194 points. The best part about this team, Malik Neighbors and the defense. They have a great defense, but they just have a terrible offense. Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito is not the answer. Tracy Jr., he does okay, but His team is just not it. As for the Ravens, 8-5 record, 383 points put up. This team has a great defense, great offense. Their 5 losses, they've just betted some close games, haven't been able to string it together, but we are a Zay Flowers fan, we're a Ravens defense fan, and minus 1,600, yeah. I'm not betting against them. Give me the Ravens over the Giants. And as I look now, kicking off Sunday, I have 4 road teams winning, which is always not the best decision. So let's get into a prediction, which I really am excited to make for you all here today. The Cowboys visit the Panthers. And I don't know what's happened between week 1 and week 15, but we've seen a transformation in Bryce Young. Bryce Young has finally realized, okay, I have it in me to be an amazing player, all right? He knows it's in him, all right? And for the first time in 2 years, the Panthers are coming in as minus 135 favorites, okay? Cowboys plus 115 underdogs. The odds are very close. But this Panthers team, I can feel it. I can feel it with them. They're 3-10. A 3-game losing streak. They have the worst defense in the league. That's given up almost 400 points. But I can feel it. I can feel it. Chuba Hubbard, Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette. You got Bryce Young, as I mentioned. I think the Panthers are going to do it. And you want to know another reason? The Cowboys, they have a terrible defense. I don't know what happened. I watched the collapse against the Bengals, and it was just terrible to see. I've been picking so many away teams. It's overdue. The Panthers are going to beat the Cowboys at home. It has to happen. Give me the Panthers over the Cowboys. Oh, yeah. Panthers 2-5 at home, 1-5 on the road. It hasn't really mattered. As for the Cowboys, they've actually gotten 4 of their 5 wins on the road, so all the odds are stacked against the Panthers, but we gotta ride with them for at least one game this year. Following that, another just absolutely awful matchup. I don't even know who to pick for this one. I don't even know. The plus 150 Jaguars host the minus 175 Jets. And these teams are just awful. Jets 3-10, 4-game losing streak. They are just atrocious. They're 1-6 on the road. It is just rough to be a Jets fan. Breece Hall's injured. Rodgers is washed. Devontae and Garrett Wilson can only do so much. It's rough times in New York. But I'll tell you where else it's really rough. That's Jacksonville, 3-10. They managed to beat the Titans, which is no flex, last week. 2-4 at home. It's impossible to tell what will happen, but I am a Brian Thomas Jr. fan. I am a Tank Bigsby fan when I need to be. I am a fan of no Jets players. I'm going with the Jaguars over the Jets. I just think it's comical that the Jets keep losing, and plus I'm really going to be rooting for Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know if Mac Jones can lead this team to a win again, but we'll have to see. We're going with the Jaguars. Maybe we'll regret it, but who cares? It's just all fun and games, right, guys? All fun and games making these picks. Let's head to the AFC South again, as the Texans will be hosting the Dolphins. Texans are slowly losing a grip on the AFC South. They are 8-5, do hold the division, but, Colts, hot on their tail. You never know. Colts are also pretty bad, though, so I don't really doubt that they'll lose it. This Dolphins team is finally picking up momentum after a rough start. They're 6-7. Looking to secure a playoff spot. They will have to compete with multiple teams, but this team starts hot. They always like to finish strong. A big win over the Jets in overtime last week. It's tough what you're going to get with this Dolphins team. Okay, last year I would have been very confident in the Dolphins, but Texans had a bye. Texans were able to rest up. You're getting a perfectly healthy Texans team. Joe Mixon, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, CJ Stroud. The defense is rested. I'm confident that the Texans will beat the Dolphins in this matchup. Dolphins just went through a tough game with the Jets. They're also not at home. Texans have gone 4-2 at home. Dolphins 2-4 on the road. Good stuff to know when you're making your predictions. Keeping us moving, we head to the 3:30 slot as the Colts visit the Broncos in a similar scenario here, although both teams are coming off a bye. Broncos are the favorites in this one at minus 200. Colts are the plus 170 underdogs. Colts, like I said, 6-7, 2 games behind the Texans. I don't think a playoff round is out of the question. Divisional-wise, you need the Texans to lose to and you need to win to, which is going to be tough to do. But, if Jonathan Taylor's healthy, he'll put in a killer performance. Anthony Richardson, when he's on, he's on. You got Downs. You got Pittman. You got options downfield. But this Broncos team, is just so stellar. An 8-5 team. AFC West could arguably be in the running for the best 3 teams compared to the NFC North. I mean, Broncos 8-5, Chargers 8-5, Chiefs 12-1. Broncos 234 points given up. You are looking at one of the best defenses in the league. Broncos 4-2 at home. We have seen the Colts go 3-4 on the road, which, I mean, compared to their home record, isn't that different. I will definitely say that this Broncos offense is a bit more enticing in terms of chemistry-wise, but, I mean, offenses are pretty similar. Bo Nick's a rookie. He hasn't been really playing like a rookie. He's been playing some great football, but we're in Denver, both coming off a bye. I'm going with the Broncos to win this one. They're also the favorites, -200, so that's who we'll ride with. After that, what could be game of the week, game of the century, the 10-3 Bills coming in as +125 underdogs take on the 12-1 Detroit Lions, who are -145. They're at home, 6-1 at home. 11-game win streak. They haven't lost since week 2. Okay, they've decided, hey, I'm not going to lose anymore. Not going to lose anymore. It's been an insane run for the Lions. 417 points put up. They're the best offense statistically in the league. Great defense as well. This Bills offense, though. I mean, Josh Allen, we just saw the best quarterback fantasy performance, I'm pretty sure, of all time. I think that's what people were debating. It's really tough. This is really tough. These are both incredible teams, but I'll compare this Lions team to the what am I trying to say? I'm comparing the Lions team to the Chiefs team. Okay, is that they're 12-1. You are statistically better off picking this team to win compared to lose. Plus, all 3 of the losses for the Bills have come on the road. After watching what the Rams did to them, I'm confident this Lions team is going to give them some issues. So, as much as I would love to upset pick the Bills, I'm going to go with the Lions here. They are an NFC rival, but, we're more of a friends. We all hate the Packers. Lions and Vikings, we don't hate each other that much, unless we're playing each other, but Lions team, they've been incredible. Jameer and Dave Montgomery, the best 2-man running back room in the NFL. Amon-Ra, Jamison Williams, Tim Patrick, incredible. Defense has been outstanding. We're going with the Lions. Another tight game. This is going to be a defensive battle. I can already sense it. The 11-2 Eagles, top team in the NFC East, second best team in the NFC. Actually, second best. They're tied for second, I should say, with the Vikings. But, 9-game win streak. They've been incredible. Only 234 points given up. They're stellar. Their opponent, the Steelers, 10-3. They are the tied for second best team in the AFC. 323 points for, 238 points against. Great defense. I think this is all going to come down to who is the home team. In this case, it's the Eagles. Also, bias-wise, I have Saquon and I have Jalen Hurts. So that's definitely going to hinder my picking abilities. So we're going Eagles over the Steelers. Sorry, Seth. My good friend is a Steelers diehard fan. But we're going fly, Eagles fly. -250 for the Eagles, +210 for the Steelers. We're going with the favorites. After that, Patriots Cardinals. I don't know what to expect here. Honestly, I don't. This Cardinals team is kind of on the downswing of things after being in the running spot to win the NFC West. They're on a 3-game losing streak. But all these close games, that Vikings game came down to the wire. The Seahawks game came down to the wire. Actually, both the Seahawks losses, they lost by 10 and 12 points. Not so much with the Seahawks. With the Vikings game, they played super good. For the Pats, 3-10, 3-game losing streak, only 221 points put up. They have not had a good offense for a while since the Tom Brady era. Cardinals -260, playing at home. Patriots 215, not that hard. We're going with the Cardinals here. It's not too hard to pick them against this Patriots team, which I really just I don't think they know what to do with themselves. And, the Patriots, they play teams close. They only lost by 1 to the Colts. They've only lost by 6 to the Rams. But their last win was over the Bears. And I've seen this Bears team completely fall apart. They cannot get a win to save their lives. So, yeah, we're definitely going with the Cardinals in this one. Keeping the 3:30 momentum rolling, Buccaneers visit the Chargers. This should be a good game. And I was debating starting the Chargers defense, but this Bucs offense has just been so stellar. They managed to get a win last week. They're on a 3-game win streak. Top team in the NFC South. They have a +54 point differential. Buccaneers have gone 4-2 on the road, which is very promising. Their opponents, the Chargers, 4-2 at home. So even everywhere it goes. Plus 70 point differential. Chargers, of their 5 losses this season, 7 points to the Ravens, 2 points to the Chiefs. You're also going to be looking at 2 points to the Cardinals, 7 points to the Chiefs. All close games. This Chargers defense, the best in the NFL. They've only given up 207 points. I think the Buccaneers offense is going to have a tough time. Plus, we are in Los Angeles compared to Tampa Bay. So we are going to go with the Chargers to win this one. They're also the favorites, minus 155 compared to plus 135. I don't really think I'm rooting for anyone in particular in this game, although the Buccaneers did hinder Brock Bowers last week. So yes, we are Chargers fans for sure this week. After that, your Sunday Night Football game, Packers visiting the Seahawks. Talk about a barn burner on Sunday Night Football. These two teams hate each other. I can promise you that. Seahawks are your top team in the NFC West. Plus 19 point differential, 4-game winning streak. This is outstanding. 5-1 on the road, 3-4 at home. So haven't been too hot at home. But with this 8-5 record, Jackson Smith and Jigba has been outstanding. You also got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett out there, and Noah Fant. Zach Charbonnet, when Kenneth Walker's out, is outstanding. And this defense, not too shabby. Defense has only given up 283 points. Not yet in that 300-point category. The Packers, 9-4, third in the NFC North, coming off a loss. They've gone 4-2 on the road. You never know what you're going to get, but I am an avid Packers hater. I am a Jackson Smith and Jigba supporter. A recipe for success, if you ask me. Give me the Seahawks over the Packers. Although, no, I'm not stopping the Seahawks here. They're at home. I think the Packers are kind of going to fall onto a little losing streak here. I'm just not a fan really at all of the Packers. Let's be honest. I hate the freaking Packers, okay? They're an atrocious team, atrocious franchise, plus they're the Vikings' enemy. Speaking of which, your Monday night matchup doubleheader kicks off with the Bears visiting the Vikings. I don't even need to tell you who I'm going to pick, but I just want to let you know. Vikings minus 300 favorites. We've gone 6-1 at home. By the way, did I tell you we're on a 6-game win streak and are 11-2? Yeah, we're really freaking good. I also got Jordan Addison in my one other fantasy league. I'm in the playoffs. Bears team, absolutely awful. Okay, 7-game losing streak, 0-6 on the road. This is a Vikings masterclass incoming. There's just not much you could really ask me. Okay, Bears, I understand they played the Vikings close last time, but this time we're prepared, we're ready, and we are red hot. Give me the Vikings all day. Easy sweep of the season series. Following that, we get into our final game of Week 15 as the Falcons visit the Raiders. Falcons minus 225, Raiders plus 190. And as much as I am a Brock Bowers fan, as much as I'm not a fan of the Falcons, there's just no way I can pick this Raiders team to win a game the rest of the season. They are on a 9-game losing streak. They have a minus 130 point differential, 2-11 record. They're bad. They're really bad. Brock Bowers is the only bright spot on this team. Okay, I'll compare them to the Jaguars, where Brian Thomas Jr. is the only bright spot. So if we can target Brock Bowers, I'll be happy. But this Falcons offense is going to run through the defense of the Raiders. This is a pick-me-up win for the Falcons. 4-game losing streak. They've looked like they've been falling apart. Kirk hasn't gotten a touchdown over this losing streak. It's been awful, but this is where they pick it up. Bijan's going for a big day. Drake London, Ray, Darnell Mooney, they're all going off. I'm just feeling the Falcons winning this one. I'm sorry, Brock Bowers. I doubt you'll get the win, but I do hope you go for 3 touchdowns. You have a big week because, I'm going to need a big performance from you if I want to make the championship. So we're going with the Falcons over the Raiders. I'm sorry, Las Vegas fans. Your team is just not good at all. I'll say 20-10. Gritty game. Nonetheless, Raiders do make it gritty sometimes. But, Falcons over the Raiders. Should be a fun week of games. This is my final weekend down here at college before I go back for winter break. So I'm probably going to stay until Monday night, watch all these games, watch the Vikings beat the Bears. Okay, I'm happy for that game. Justin Jefferson's going off. Addison's going off. I can sense it. And I know we never sweep series, but, I've been seeing some series sweeps here and there. The Lions did it to the Packers, right? Didn't that happen? I honestly can't recall. I think we're all playing each other in a little short span. But there you have it, folks. NFL Week 15 quick predictions under our belt. Not really quick if it takes 22 minutes, but nonetheless, you get the program. With that, let's get into our UFC Tampa predictions going down at the Amil Arena this upcoming Saturday. 13 matchups. I'm pumped. I'm excited. Let's get through all of these and drop our official predictions. Kicking off our card, we head to a women's fight to open the card. Is anyone surprised by that? I'm not. Women's strawweight action as Josephine Thunder Knudsen takes on Piera La Fiera Rodriguez. Josephine 8-0, undefeated. Piera Rodriguez 9-2. Both ladies are 5'3", 63-inch reach for Piera, 60 for Josephine. So 3 inches in reach for Piera is really the only thing standing out. Josephine is the favorite at -225. Piera the underdog at +185. Josephine, 28 years old from Stockholm, Sweden. Of her 8 wins, she has 1 knockout. That's it. She has a kickboxing background, but I mean, so far all of her fights have gone to a decision. 2-0 in the UFC, coming off of Road to the UFC and Dana White's Contender Series. Picked up her win in June over Julia Pilastri, landed 124 significant strikes, and dealt with some takedown attempts in that matchup. So, Josephine, I can recall some of her fights. I recognize her. She's all right. She's all right, but she's had 1 fight where she leaned on the grappling, 11 minutes of control time on 3 takedowns. Then there's another fight where she leaned on the striking. So we've kind of seen a complete game from her through her first 2 UFC fights. Her opponent, Piera Rodriguez, 32 years old from Venezuela, but now actually trains in Panama. Of her 9 wins, 5 knockouts, and 1 sub. Her 2 losses have both came in her last 2 matchups. She was previously undefeated, 9-0 with a 2-0 record in the UFC. Before last April, getting submitted by Jillian Robertson, but we all know how good Jillian Robertson is. Had 1 fight in May and had a DQ loss. I don't exactly know what happened in that matchup. Oh, she headbutted her opponent. Very bad, Piera Rodriguez. You can't do that. And she was winning that fight, which actually makes it much worse. She actually knocked down her opponent, then on the ground, headbutted her. So, rough stuff from Piera Rodriguez. Seems to be pretty good, but I'm going to ride with the favorite here in Josephine Knudsen to remain undefeated. Why not? I mean, it's a toss-up. You honestly never know what you're going to get with these opening women's fights. But hey, could be fun, could be exciting. We shall see. Next up, we head to the men's bantamweight division, and now we're getting talking here as Davey Dangerous Grant takes on Ramon the Savage Taveras. This is going to be a good fight. This is going to be a good fight, folks. Davey Grant, 15-7. Ramon Taveras, 10-2. Both men are 5'8". 70-inch reach compared to 69-inch reach, giving a 1-inch reach advantage to Ramon Taveras. Southpaw for Ramon, orthodox for Davey Grant. This is going to be fun. I'm excited. Davey Grant +120, Ramon -145. Odds are very, very close. Let's start with Davey Grant. Davey Grant, the veteran, 38 years old, born in England, now lives and trains in Las Vegas. 4 KOs and 7 subs make up his 15 career victories. Of his 7 losses, he's been submitted 4 times. He was actually supposed to fight Cody Gibson March 23rd, but that fight was canceled. So we actually haven't seen Davey Grant since July of 2023. Davey been fighting the UFC for over a decade. He's fought in Marlon. He actually holds a win over Marlon Vera, funny enough. Also has knocked out Jonathan Martinez. He's had fight of the nights against Adrian Yanez. Last win came in March of 2023 with an inverted triangle. Very cool. Last time he fought, he lost to Daniel Marcos by a split decision in a fight I honestly didn't think that he lost. But hey, that's just me. Davey Grant, he always is in a battle. Always in a fun fight. Always competitive. More of a striker, I'd say, despite the submissions. Ramon Taveras, 30 years old from Florida, so he's the home state man. 5 KOs and 3 subs make up his 10 career victories. Both of his losses have came by knockout. He was supposed to fight Callan Lorraine July 27th or actually might have been the 22nd in London, but unfortunately, Lorraine pulled out of that fight, and Taveras couldn't find an opponent. Last time he fought was in January when he went to a split decision with Sergey Sade. Before that, he had a 29-second knockout of Cortavius Romeus on Dana White's Contender Series. So he's he's an exciting fighter. I expect a competitive matchup. In that fight, Ramon, his last time out against Sergey, Ramon did land a knockdown in round number 2, but he was outstruck in 2 of the 3 rounds, which is a bit conflicting. It's tough what you're going to get, but just because he's the hometown boy, just because he's 10-2, a little 2-fight win streak for him, I'm actually going to ride with Ramon Taveras in this one. I always like to ride with the home state boys, home state fighters, because I always feel like people fight better when they're in front of their hometown, home state, unless you're Derek Lewis, who can never win when he's in Texas. Following that, we head to the women's, which one is this? Flyweight division? Women's flyweight as Miranda Maverick takes on Jamie Lynn Horth. Is Miranda ranked? Oh, Miranda Maverick isn't ranked at the moment. Miranda coming into this one, Miranda Maverick could have completely have had a different career had she not lost a terrible split decision to Macy Barber in what I think was a rigged fight, honestly. The judges rigged that, but you know what? Fear the Maverick, back in action, taking on Jamie Lynn Horth. Miranda coming into this one 16-5, Jamie 7-1. 5'7" to 5'3" gives Jamie 4 inches in height, and she has 1 inch in reach, 66-65. Southpaw for Miranda, orthodox for Jamie Lynn Horth. Miranda is the favorite at minus 350, Jamie Lynn Horth plus 275. Miranda, Southpaw stands for Miranda, orthodox for Jamie. I didn't realize Miranda was Southpaw. I thought she was orthodox, but that's how much I pay attention to these early women fights. Hey, no offense, not trying to be offensive. Miranda rides a 3-fight win streak into this one. She's won 2 fights so far in 2024. 27-year-old was born in Missouri, but now lives and trains out of Denver. Out of those 16 wins, she has 1 knockout and 7 subs, and she's never been finished out of her 5 losses. She was actually supposed to fight Tracy Cortez on that Denver card before Tracy pulled out and decided to fight Rose Namajunas in the main event. Last time Miranda lost, June of 2023, she lost a decision to Jasmine Jesu to Vicious, but other than that, had a pretty good UFC career so far. Losses to Macy Barber, Aaron Blanchfield. The fact that they didn't finish her, very impressive. 3-fight win streak, 1 armbar in that win streak. We'll see how she does in this one against Jamie Lynn Horth. Jamie, 34 years old from Canada. Of her 7 wins, 3 knockouts, 2 subs. Won her first UFC fight against Ivana Petrovic in November. So, quick little month turnaround for Jamie taking this fight. I don't see her getting this one done. She's been to split decisions in both her UFC fights so far. As for Miranda, she's proven against other fighters. I think Deanna Barbosa and Andrea Lee are much better competition than Veronica Hardy, personally. No offense. So we're going to say Miranda Maverick by decision. I'm not feeling any finishes through our first 3 fights. I'm feeling all of these by decision. And then we're going to get into some better fights where we're going to see some finishes taking place. Starting in this one, featherweight action is Miles Chapo Johns moves up in weight to take on Felipe Lima. Felipe Jungle Boy Lima. Miles Johns 5-2, actually 15-2, my bad, with 1 no contest. Felipe Lima 13-1. 5'7" to 5'6" gives Miles 1 inch in height. 68 reach to 66 inch reach gives Lima 2 inches in reach. Both men stand in the orthodox fighting position. Starting off with Miles Chapo Johns. Miles, 30 years old from Kansas, now lives in Dallas. Of his 15 wins, 4 knockouts and 2 subs, so this is a decision machine. Both of his losses, he's been finished. I think in both ways, once by knockout and once by submission. He was actually supposed to fight Cody Garbrandt twice in October on the 5th and the 12th, but both those fights fell through, so thankfully Miles is getting a fight in. Hasn't fought in since June when he beat Douglas Silva de Andrade. 2-0 in 2024, 2 decisions. Good stuff. Miles hasn't lost since February of 2022. Biggest win of his career probably was the Douglas Silva de Andrade fight last time out. 50-36, it was a typical striking decision for him. Miles Johns, exciting here and there, but, nothing too much. Had some cool knockouts in 2020, but since then, nothing too much. His opponent, Felipe Lima, 26 years young, from Brazil. Of his 13 wins, 7 finishes, 4 knockouts, 3 subs. His 1 loss is by submission. Felipe, coming into this one, took a fight in June against Muhammad Naimov on short notice and submitted him in round number 3, earning himself a performance bonus. Look, Felipe Lima looked very impressive in that. In Jungle FC, which is another fight promotion in Brazil, he was actually the champion at featherweight. So he is intense. He's good. He's a great fighter from everything I've seen so far. We're going to ride with Felipe Lima over Miles Johns. And, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if we're getting a freaking finish here. Okay, I don't know how many finishes we're going to have on this Tampa card. I feel like almost all these fights are poised to be decisions, but I know not every fight will be a decision, but I mean, it's just kind of tough to pick. I'll go Felipe Lima, probably by decision here, using his grappling. We'll see what happens. Sticking with the featherweights, we're going to the tallest featherweight in the game as the 6'2" Sean the Sniper Woodson takes on the 6'1" Fernando El Valente Padilla. 12-1-1 is Sean Woodson. 16-5 is Fernando. 6'2" to 6'1". Sean's got that 1-inch reach. Also has a 2-inch height. He has 2 inches in reach. 78 to 76. Orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. Sean Woodson is the favorite, -175. Fernando, the underdog, +145. Sean, I mean, good career so far. 32 years old from Missouri. Those 12 wins, 4 finishes, 3 knockouts, 1 sub. His 1 loss is by submission, which was to Julian Erosa in 2020. Since then, he's gone 5-0-1. 1 draw, 6 fights, hasn't lost. Pretty good. Last fought Alex Caceres in May. Fought Charles Jourdain in January. Both of those decision wins. Good stuff. You know, he's a distant striker. He counter-strikes. That's pretty much the name of the game for Sean Woodson. He's had 1 finish in the UFC against Colin Anglin. Other than that, I mean, he's just always in a tough fight. As for Fernando, his opponent, actually, you know, Fernando, 27 years old, from Mexico. Of his 16 wins, he's gotten 14 finishes, 5 knockouts, 9 subs. Never been finished in all 5 of his losses. This is why I like to see some excitement. Fernando, 2-1 in the UFC. Both of those round 1 finishes, a knockout of Julian Erosa, and last time out in March, knocked out Luis Paelo, or submitted him in 2 minutes, 45 seconds with a Darce choke. He dropped him and then locked up a Darce choke. This should be a competitive fight. You know, Fernando, so far decent in the UFC, but when it comes to just the style that Sean Woodson fights, he literally annoys all of his opponents. They really get frustrated. I remember Charles Jourdain was so frustrated they couldn't do anything. It was pretty comical. So, Sean Woodson decision. I honestly don't see a finish taking place yet on the card, as crazy as that sounds. But yes, I'm riding with Sean Woodson in this one. I'll tell you where the finishes are going to kick in. It's in our next one, lightweight action, as Joel El Fenomeno Alvarez takes on Drakkar Klose. All right, Joel Alvarez, 21-3. This guy's a maniac. Drakkar Klose, 15-1. 6'3" to 5'9" gives Joel 6 inches in height. Also has a 7-inch reach, 77 to 70. Orthodox stance for both these men. Joel Alvarez, 21 career victories, 21 career finishes, 4 knockouts, 17 subs. The Spaniard is 31 years old and is just one of the most violent fighters that I've seen. All of his fights, getting finishes. Last time out, coming down to the 3rd round, landed a TKO of Elvis Brenner. Absolutely nasty. Only losses in the UFC, Demirs Magulov and Arman Sarukian. Currently on a 2-fight winning streak. Joel Alvarez, I mean, there's a reason he's a -340 favorite. Okay, this guy comes into fights wanting to get finishes. He has 3 round 1 finishes in the UFC. Okay, this guy's super fun, super legit, and he's going to be producing a finish maybe against Drakkar Klose, because Drakkar Klose, +265 underdog, 36, born in Michigan, now lives and trains in Glendale, Arizona. Of his 15 wins, 6 knockouts, 1 loss by knockout, but that's to Beneil Dariush. And so far since then, 4 knockouts, including 4 wins, including 2 knockouts. I mean, Drakkar Klose has been pretty stellar, but the one thing that stands out to me is that his last time he fought in May, his lone fight of 2024, he got dropped by Joaquim Silva, which is kind of a tell to me that he's not invincible. He did win that fight by unanimous decision, but I do think Joel Alvarez is able to drop him, TKO him, maybe round 2, getting into round 3. Actually, I'm probably feeling a little round 2. So, Joel Alvarez, first finish of the night over Drakkar Klose. That's what we're going with. He is just, I think, better than Drakkar Klose. But this is a competitive fight. You know, Drakkar, he's just been kind of plagued by inactivity, which, honestly, as I look at it, Joel Alvarez is averaging 1 fight a year since 2020, which isn't too good. So, I mean, this guy could definitely be in the rankings if he was more active. But this fight should be entertaining. And if I had to pick for fight of the night up to this point, I would definitely ride with this one. Plus, I mean, -340 favorite. I'm not going against that. But when we look at favorites, we're looking at this one right here as the -185 favorite, Michael the Menace Johnson. Back in action, takes on the underdog, the +155 Ottoman Bulldozer as a tier. Michael, 23-19, Ottoman, 13-2. 5'10" to 5'8", gives Michael 2 inches in height. Also has 2 inches in reach, 73 to 71. Southpaw for Michael. Switch stance for Ottoman Azatir. Michael Johnson, 38, born in Missouri, now lives and trains in Florida. Legend in the game. We all know Michael Johnson. Been in the UFC for a long time. Out of his 23 wins, 9 knockouts, 2 subs. Out of his 19 losses, 3 by knockout, 9 by sub. Yikes. He was actually supposed to fight Matt Frevola in May, but that fight got canceled. Last time he fought, beat Darius Flowers in February, so he's actually coming in off a win. Michael Johnson, the definition of he'll beat your favorite fighter and lose to a random. So this is just a fun little thread of Michael Johnson beating Tony Ferguson and then losing a decision to Miles Jury. Then he goes out and beats Edson Barbosa, then loses to, actually, since Edson Barbosa, Michael Johnson went through a crazy thread here, beat Edson Barbosa, lost to Beneil, lost to Nate Diaz, knocked out Dustin Poirier in round 1, lost to Khabib, lost to Gaethje, lost to Elkins, beat Andre Feely, beat Artem Lobov, got knocked out by Emmett, lost to Stevie Ray, lost to Diego Moises, lost to Clay Guida, knocked out Alan Patrick, lost the fight of the night to Jamie Malarkey, beat Mark Diakise, got knocked out by Diego Pereira, and then recently beat Darius Flowers. Michael Johnson's just had a crazy career overall. Been with the UFC since 2010, so year 15, right around the corner in fighting-wise. It's been over 2 decades. Michael Johnson, excited to see you back in action. His opponent, the 34-year-old from Germany, Ottoman Azatir, of his 13 wins, 9 knockouts, 3 subs. So, 12 of 13 wins by finish. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Both of his losses have came by knockout, and he is on a 2-fight losing streak. So, Ottoman kicks off his career in 2019, round 1 knockout. 2020, round 1 knockout. Takes 2 years off, comes back in 2022. Matt Frevola knocks him out round 1. Comes back in July last year. Francisco Prado knocks him out in round 1. So I think you're following a little pattern here. And if I'm looking at Michael Johnson's career, he's overdue. All right, Michael Johnson is overdue for a knockout. I think it's coming. I think you're going to get a round 2 Michael Johnson knockout. I think we're going to be getting decisions completely up to this point, and then you're going to get a little string of finishes that started with Joel Alvarez and continues with Michael Johnson. So Michael Johnson over Ottoman Azatir. Plus, it's just fun to root for Michael Johnson because you never know what version of him is going to show up. The one beating Dustin Poirier, the one beating Edson Barbosa, the one beating who else has he fought earlier on in his career? We just talked about it. One beating. He's fought a number of people. We just mentioned it, but you get the point. Michael Johnson over Ottoman Azatir by knockout. With that, we get into our 6-fight main card, kicking off in the men's light heavyweight division as the minus 500 favorite Navajo Sterling takes on the plus 380 underdog Tuco Tokos. Navajo 5-0, Tuco 10-4. Both men are 6'4", some tall boys. 79-inch reach compared to 76-inch reach gives Navajo 3 inches in reach. He also, both men stand orthodox position, so pretty even overall, except for those 3 inches in reach for Navajo. Navajo, 27 years old, from New Zealand. Of his 5 wins, he's gotten 4 knockouts. Trains at City Kickboxing with, of course, Dan Hooker, Kaikar France, Israel Asanya. So he's around good company. Debuted on Dana White's Contender Series in September with a round 2 knockout. And now you're getting a UFC chance. Good for Navajo, honestly. Striker as they come. I'll be excited to see his debut. And they're setting him up for success as he takes on the 34-year-old Tuco Tukos, the plus 380 underdog. Was born in England, but now trains in Florida. 6 knockouts and 2 subs make up his 10 victories. Of his 4 losses, he's been finished 3 times. So originally, Tuco fought on Road to the UFC in 2022, and Zhang Mingyang knocked him out in round number 1. After that, went to the independent scene, picked up 3 wins, including 2 finishes. Good stuff. Came back in May on short notice and fought Omar Sy, and Omar basically took him down and submit him in round 1 with so much ease. It was pretty brutal. So Tuco coming in off a loss under UFC promotions. He's 0-2, and I don't think it gets better here. I'm obviously going Navajo. Round 1 knockout. 5-0. These light heavyweights hit hard, especially when they're young. And Tuco, come on. Both losses so far in the UFC. His only wins are over people I don't even know. I think he beat a 40-year-old in like 14 seconds or something. I have no idea. But Tukos, I'm sorry. Navajo Sterling's coming in for the knockout win. Good stuff for Navajo Sterling. Gonna get it done. I have faith in it. After that, we head into the men's bantamweight division, and you get a tough one here. All right, this is going to be competitive. Adrian Yanez, plus 145 underdog, takes on the minus 175 favorite, the undefeated Daniel Soncora Marcos. Adrian Yanez, 17-5. Daniel Marcos, 16-0. Undefeated. Both men are 5'7", 70-inch reach compared to 69-inch reach. Adrian Yanez is getting it done. In the reach, I should say. I'm not saying that's my prediction, but he has the reach advantage. Both men stand in the orthodox fighting position. To kick things off with the 31-year-old from Texas, Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez was once on the brink of a top 10 opponent before he lost to Rob Font. Actually got a top 10 opponent in Rob Font, but lost. But Adrian, of his 17 wins, 11 knockouts, 2 subs. Of his 5 losses, he's been finished twice by knockout, which was his actual last 2 losses in 2023. Rough 2023, finished twice, but came back in May, knocked out Vincia Salvador in just under 3 minutes. So Adrian Yanez coming in with some momentum. Honestly, yet to be in a boring fight in the UFC. All finishes or fight of the nights, always losing in spectacular fashion. So Adrian, striker as they come, some very crisp boxing I've seen from Adrian Yanez. His knockouts of Randy Costa and Tony Kelly are absolutely fantastic, and this dude's made over $250,000 in performance bonuses. He's made a good amount of money in the UFC. He's looking to keep it rolling as he takes on the 16-0 Daniel Marcos. 31 years old from Peru, but now trains in Florida. Of his 16 wins, 8 knockouts. He was actually supposed to fight Said Nurmagomedov on this card, but instead is taking on Adrian Yanez, so I mean just tough opponents for Daniel Marcos. So far, yet to lose in his career. Debuted in January of 2023 with a nice round 2 knockout of Salmon Oliveira. Then split decision against Davey Graham. Very tough. Then had a no contest against Algorquin after a nut shot. Came back in June, ran through John Castaneda. Now Daniel looks to move to 17-0. And at the end of the day, this just comes down to who wins the striking exchanges. And I know how good Adrian Yanez's boxing is, but Daniel's proven so far. Okay, Daniel's proven so far. It's really tough because Adrian Yanez, he's only beat the lesser of the competition. He's only lost to the better of the competition. So this will be a telling sign of how good Daniel Marcos is. But if I'm betting my money, I'm probably riding with Daniel Marcos in this one. To remain undefeated, it's always statistically better to pick the undefeated fighters. And we always love to go off of statistics here and there. Not all the time, but we'll see how this one goes. Should be a good striking matchup. Daniel Marcos over Adrian Yanez. And we're going to go by decision. We're going to say this is a close decision. Following that, we get into a very, very good one here at light heavyweight between the former undefeated fighter Vitor Petrino and the veteran Dustin the Hanyak Jacoby. Vitor 11-1, Dustin 19-9-1. 6'3" to 6'2" gives Dustin 1 inch in height, but 1 inch in reach goes to Vitor. 77 to 76. Orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. Vitor the favorite at minus 280. Dustin the underdog plus 225. Vitor Petrino, man, 27 years old from Brazil. Of those 11 wins, he's gotten 7 knockouts and 1 sub. Trains at CM Systems in Brazil. Vitor was previously undefeated at 11-0 with 3 UFC finishes before running into Anthony Smith, and after looking like he was going to knock him out, tries to take him down, gets caught in a guillotine, and is submitted in 2 minutes. It was a shocking scene and really showed that he clearly wasn't ready. You know, you got to get past guys like Anthony Smith if you're going to break into the top 10 at light heavyweight, much less the top 15, and he couldn't pass that test. But he's had good finishes of Marcin Pachinio, fight of the night against Anton Cherkoljic, and then nasty round 2 knockout of Modestus Bukauskas. But standing across from him will be none other than the Hanyak, the veteran, the 36-year-old Dustin Jacoby. From Colorado, of his 19 wins, 12 knockouts, 1 submission. Dustin, of those 9 losses, he's been finished 4 times. Currently on a 2-fight losing streak and is shockingly 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Dustin was previously on a nice little 8-fight win streak or something. It was absolutely crazy. Had nasty knockouts of Darren Stewart, Justin Ledet, Dawoon Jong. I mean, he's also knocked out Kenny Nchukwu. But on this little 1-4 streak, I mean, he lost to Khalil Roundtree Jr. in a BS split decision. He clearly won that fight. Next time out against Azamat Mirzakhanov. Couldn't believe he even survived that. Same thing goes for the Alonzo Menafield fight in December of last year. Can't believe he survived. And then fought in June and sadly took on the Devastator Dominic Reyes and got knocked out in 2 minutes. But Dustin's back looking for a win, but I don't think he's going to get it. I think Vitor Petrino gets a submission victory here. Okay, I think Vitor takes him down. Actually, you know what? Maybe I should go knockout. Let's go knockout for Vitor. Let's go knockout for Vitor Petrino right here. A little round one knockout. Vitor coming in, a little upset that he lost his undefeatedness, and he's going to come in and knock out Vitor Petrino. We'll say round one. It's so fun to predict these round one knockouts. I can't help it. You know, all these round one knockouts, you got to go with something, and that's what we're going to go with. So, Vitor Petrino going to sleep, maybe getting cut. We'll see what happens. Should be exciting. After that, third to last fight as we head to the men's flyweight division, 125 pounds, as the number 12 ranked Bruno Silva takes on the number 9 ranked Manel Cape. Interestingly enough, Manel Cape still in the rankings. No idea how this guy freaking never fights. Manel Starboy Cape 19-7. Bruno Bulldog Silva 14-5-2 with 1 no contest. 5'5" to 5'4" gives Manel 1 inch in height, and he has 3 inches in reach. 68 to 65. Southpaw for Manel. Orthodox for Bruno Silva. Manel Cape the -280 favorite. Bruno Silva the +230 underdog. Manel Cape, exciting fighter, 31 years old, born in Angola, now lives in Las Vegas. Of his 19 wins, 16 finishes, 11 knockouts, 5 subs. Of his 7 losses, he's been finished twice. He's also had an outstanding 9 canceled bouts in the UFC. Absolutely insane. He's currently 4-3 in the UFC. Losses to Pantoja, Nicolau, and Muhammad Mokaev. Wins over Felipe Dos Santos, Lagos, Ode, David Dork. I mean, truly you never know what you're going to get with Mokaev. Okay? He's a striker through and through as they come. We've seen it time and time again. We'll see if he can step up here and get a win against Bruno Silva, who is currently in his prime. This kid's in his prime, 34 years old, from Brazil. I guess he's not a kid anymore. Of his 14 wins, 10 finishes, 6 knockouts, 4 subs. Of his 5 losses, he's been finished twice. Started off in the UFC 0-2 with a no contest, but since March of 2021, on fire. 4 finishes, 4 performance bonuses, and that means 4 wins. Last fought in July it was, and knocked out Cody Durden with a nasty uppercut and some ground and pound. He's got power in his hands. Across his last 4 fights, he's got 6 knockdowns. Oh, incredible. One of his fights was a submission. The other all knockouts. All 3 of the 4 in round 2. Impressive enough. So Bruno Silva getting a step up in competition here. But I think he's in for a rude awakening when he takes on the star boy in Manel Cape. I'm going with Manel. Okay, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I've been fire on Manel Cape career predictions so far. Okay, I've predicted all of his wins. I predicted his loss to Mokaev, and I predict a bounce-back win for him here against Bruno Silva. It's nothing against Bruno. I just think Manel Cape is at that skill level where he's going to beat guys that are not world level. I mean, come on, when we're talking about Pantoja, I mean, he took Pantoja to a decision, and Pantoja's the champ. Muhammad Mokaev should have never been cut from the UFC. You know, that was a boring fight, but it kind of did expose his grappling. But I think Bruno's going to want to keep this on the feet, and I think when it stays on the feet, that's where Manel Cape is going to thrive. Shockingly, our co-main event is Cub Swanson versus Billy Quarantillo. No idea why this fight is above a bunch of other fights, but you know what? It is what it is. We're only here for the main event. Cub Swanson plus 135 underdog, minus 160. Billy Quarantillo is the slight favorite. Cub 29-14, Billy 18-6, 5'10" to 5'8" gives Billy 2 inches in height, and they both have the same reach of 70 inches, and both stand in the same stance of orthodox. Start off with Cub. You know, Cub, legend of the game, 41 years old now from California. Of his 29 wins, 12 knockouts, 5 subs. Of his 14 losses, 3 by knockout, 7 by sub. Ooh, yikes. Cub, been fighting in the UFC since 2007. I mean, holy cow. He's fought in Jens Pulver. He's fought in Jose Aldo. He's fought in Chad Mendez, Ricardo Lamas, Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier. Actually holds wins over Charles and Dustin Poirier and Jeremy Stevens. He's fought in Max Holloway, Frankie Edgar, Doo Ho Choi, Ryan Ortega, Renato Moicano. He has fought in a who's who of fighters. Last time he fought, it was in June. He lost a fight of the night, a split decision to Andre Fili. That was competitive, though. Before that, beat Hakeem Dawodo in a terrible decision. He should have never been given that. I have no idea how he won that. And before that, was knocked out by Jonathan Martinez with leg kicks. But actually did knock out Darren Elkins in December 2021. So, Cub Swanson, always in a fun fight. We'll see how he does here, though, against Billy Quarantillo. Billy, coming into this one, 36 years old, born in New York, now hails from Tampa Bay, Florida. That's right, he's from Tampa. 8 knockouts, 5 subs, make up his 18 career victories. Yeah, he's an exciting fighter. Half of his losses, he's been finished. Billy, been with the UFC since 2019. Never really been able to crack the top 10. Really hasn't. He almost had an opportunity when he fought Gavin Tucker. Then he lost. Then had an opportunity against Shane Burgos. Lost. That was a fun fight, though. Then had an opportunity against Edson Barbosa in the top 15 and got knocked out with a knee. Then took on Yusuf Zalal in March, which was the last time he fought, and he got submitted in round 2. But Yusuf Zalal is on the run of a lifetime right now. Let me tell you, Yusuf Zalal is an absolute killer right now, and I think Billy will bounce back. Okay, it's nothing against Cub, but Cub's past his prime. Billy's in a good spot career-wise to get a couple wins, bounce back, and I think he takes him the distance and gets this one done. If anything, I could see a Billy knockout. I could see like a round 3 Billy Quarantillo knockout, maybe even round 1, It's not too late to start getting them knockout wins. But Billy Quarantillo over Cub Swanson, got a ride with a Tampa Bay native. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, once the co-main event ends, we'll head to the main event, which is the number 6 ranked welterweight in the world, Colby Covington, as he takes on the number 9 ranked Joaquin Numanza Buckley. Colby, plus 205, which I've actually seen it's up to plus 225, is the underdog at minus 250. Joaquin Buckley is the favorite. Colby, 17-4, Joaquin, 20-6. 5'10 to 5'11 gives Colby 1 inch in height, but the reach advantage goes to Joaquin Buckley, 76-72. Southpaw for Joaquin, orthodox now for Colby Chaos Covington. Colby, we all know him, you love him or you hate him. We all know who he is. The 36-year-old is from Florida. Of his 17 wins, 8 finishes, 3 knockouts, 5 subs. Trains at MMA Masters in Florida. Ian Chopira and Nate Landry have both trained there. Been with the UFC for a decade, and he's been in some fun fights here and there. The Kamaru Usman feud, fantastic. He bested both of his rivals in Tyrone Woodley and Jorge Masvidal. He set grappling records against Robbie Lawler. He's beaten Rafael dos Anjos for an interim champ. He beat Damian Maia, then called out in a Brazilian crowd, called them all trash. Last time he fought, though, against Leon Edwards, very embarrassing performance. He proceeded to do nothing for the entire fight until round 4, which I actually gave him, and then round 5, which he handsomely won. But, the striking hasn't looked too hot from Colby. Last 2 fights out. We'll see if that can be fixed, but we all know how good he is at grappling, so this will be grappler versus striker as he takes on Joaquin Buckley, the 30-year-old from Missouri. 14 knockouts of his 20 wins, as looking to complete a fantastic 2024. He was actually supposed to fight Ian Gary on this card, but Ian Gary took an opportunity against Shavkat, and now in will step Colby Covington. Weird that Colby stepping in on short notice. Let me tell you that's just not something he usually does. Joaquin Buckley, currently on a 5-fight winning streak, 4-0. In 2024 is what he's shooting for. He's already had 3 fights, 2 knockouts, including knockouts of Vicente Luque, and a massive one against Wonderboy Thompson in October. Joaquin Buckley is non-stop action. The one thing I do want to note, though, is that he has used his grappling in the last 2 fights, which is just something he hasn't really faced. Alex Morodo was a grappler, but, that wasn't really too much of a challenge. When he fought Nazim Imavov, he got out-grappled. When he fought Albert Durav, that was the one part of the fight he was losing. If anything, I think Colby's going to out-grapple him. I think Colby Covington is going to out-grapple Buckley through all 5 rounds. And, Buckley, we haven't seen him past 3 rounds. And, I've seen him get gassed before. It's tough to know what you're going to get with some of these fighters. And this will be a real test for Buckley, but there's always a possibility that Buckley catches him, Buckley knocks him out. That's a real possibility. But we ride with Colby. We're going to ride with Colby until his ship sinks, okay? We're already on it. We've been on it since his first title shot against Kamaru Usman, and we're not getting off. 2-3 in his last 5, but now's a chance to get back on the win train. And hey, with Colby, he's always 1 win away from a title shot, let me tell you. Always exciting. But Colby Covington by decision. Colby Chaos by smothering. So that's our predictions. That's who we're riding with. UFC Tampa should be a fun event. Lexi will be down. Little does she know we're going to be watching the entire card, which will be exciting. And yes, I love UFC. Let's end the year with a bang. And then we all know what happens after UFC ends. That's right, that little window between UFC 2024 ending and UFC 2025 beginning. We are ranking so many things, which I'm so excited to do. So that's all we got. Those are all your predictions. Lots of fun stuff. Actually, I'm not going to send you all out just yet. The rankings updated in the UFC. I didn't even realize. Alexander Patoa is now the number 9 pound-for-pound fighter, funny enough. Kai Sakura is ranked 14th. Joshua Van is ranked 15th. Movsar Evloev is ranked number 4 at featherweight. Shavkat's ranked 2. Wow, Shavkat is ranked number 2 at welterweight. Carlos Uberg is ranked 6 at light heavyweight. Wow, Dominic Reyes is up to 11. A lot of stuff happening in the rankings. Ooh, interestingly enough, but that's all I got. Hopefully you all learned something, enjoyed something. Go check out the Bloodsworn Trilogy. I really encourage it. Drop your predictions for NFL. Drop your predictions for Tampa. Ladies and gentlemen, have an amazing life. Have an amazing day. And I'll catch you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.